Strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is defined as a mental or thinking process applied by an individual in the context of achieving a goal or set of goals in a game or other endeavor. As a cognitive activity, it produces thought. When applied in an organizational strategic management process, strategic thinking involves the generation and application of unique business insights and opportunities intended to create competitive advantage for a firm or organization. It can be done individually, as well as collaboratively among key people who can positively alter an organization's future. Group strategic thinking may create more value by enabling a proactive and creative dialogue, where individuals gain other people's perspectives on critical and complex issues. This is regarded as a benefit in highly competitive and fast-changing business landscapes. Overview. Strategic thinking includes finding and developing a strategic foresight capacity for an organization, by exploring all possible organizational futures, and challenging conventional thinking to foster decision-making today. Recent strategic thought points ever more clearly towards the conclusion that the critical strategic question is not the conventional what, but why, or how. The work of Henry Mintzberg and other authors further support the conclusion, and also draw a clear distinction between strategic thinking and strategic planning, another important strategic management thought process. General André Boff wrote in 1963 that strategic thinking is a mental process, at once abstract and rational, which must be capable of synthesizing both psychological and material data. The strategist must have a great capacity for both analysis and synthesis. Analysis is necessary to assemble the data on which he makes his diagnosis, synthesis in order to produce from these data the diagnosis itself, and the diagnosis in fact amounts to a choice between alternative courses of action. There is no generally accepted definition for strategic thinking, no common agreement as to its role or importance, and no standardized list of key competencies of strategic thinkers. There is also no consensus on whether strategic thinking is an uncommon ideal or a common and observable property of strategy. Most agree that traditional models of strategy making, which are primarily based on strategic planning, are not working. Strategy in today's competitive business landscape is moving away from the basic strategic planning to more of strategic thinking in order to remain competitive. However, both thought processes must work hand in hand in order to reap maximum benefit. It has been argued that the real heart of strategy is the strategist, and for a better strategy execution requires a strategic thinker who can discover novel, imaginative strategies which can rewrite the rules of the competitive game, and set in motion the chain of events that will shape and define the future. There are many tools and techniques to promote and discipline strategic thinking. The flowchart to the right provides a process for classifying a phenomenon as a scenario in the intuitive logics tradition, and how it differs from a number of other planning approaches. Strategic thinking versus strategic planning. In the view of F. Graetz, strategic thinking and planning are distinct, but interrelated and complementary thought processes that must sustain and support one another for effective strategic management. Graetz's model holds that the role of strategic thinking is to seek innovation and imagine new and very different futures that may lead the company to redefine its core strategies and even its industry. Strategic planning's role is to realize and to support strategies developed through the strategic thinking process and to integrate these back into the business. Henry Mintzberg wrote in 1994 that strategic thinking is more about synthesis, i.e., connecting the dots, than analysis, i.e., finding the dots. It is about capturing what the manager learns from all sources, both the soft insights from his or her personal experiences and the experiences of others throughout the organization and the hard data from market research and the like, and then synthesizing that learning into a vision of the direction that the business should pursue. Mintzberg argued that strategic thinking cannot be systematized and is the critical part of strategy formation, as opposed to strategic planning exercises. In his view, strategic planning happens around the strategy formation or strategic thinking activity, by providing inputs for the strategist to consider and providing plans for controlling the implementation of the strategy after it is formed. According to Jan Liedtke, Strategic thinking differs from strategic planning along the following dimensions of strategic management. Strategic thinking competencies. Leedke observed 5 major attributes of strategic thinking in practice that resemble competencies: